often hear about people saying, I got to get out of LA. I got to get out of LA. And one of the first places they talk about moving to is Vegas, of course, like what we did. And just in case you guys may be, new to the channel, we did live in Vegas for a short time. We were originally living in Los Angeles, then we moved to Vegas. We realized that stuff wasn't what we thought it was going to be, and then we moved right back here to Los Angeles. So we are Todd
and Tasha,
and we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about. So we want to run some clips for you because the purpose of this video, if you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas, we want to let you guys in on some things that's going on in terms of the rent prices being jacked up. And some people's rents are being doubled, tripled. And, people complain about the high prices to rent here in LA when it's actually going up out in Vegas. So we're going to play some clips for you, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. We're going to explain it in a little bit more detail. So let's roll the clips.
Big problem emerging for a lot of folks here in the Valley. Their rent is going up a lot faster than their paycheck. Hello, and thanks for joining us live at 6 o'clock tonight. I'm Trisha Keene.
And I'm Dave Corvassier. We have team coverage tonight. The rising rent in the Valley creating a huge concern for tenants. Many feel they're on the verge of getting priced out of Las Vegas.
There's nobody looking out for us, and that the prices keep going up and up and up and up. And then the economy apparently is getting better and better, and the rich are just getting richer and richer.
This local renter didn't want to show her face and risk upsetting any landlords. Her struggle is a common one. In the 50 largest U.S. metro areas, median rent rose over 19% from December 2020 to December 2021, according to Realtor.com.
There has to be legislation in the state of Nevada that the governor needs to sign. That has a limit of each year that rents can go up. There has to be a limit. They can't just make it go up, from $1,000 to $1,500 in a year, which actually they did this year.
It's truly phenomenal what's happening. It's sad for locals. And in fact, locals in Vegas, 89% of them can't even afford homes anymore.
Rent raise go. A Valley man says he got this notice. The rent would go from about $1,500 to $4,000 a month for this property. And if he's outside a lease and still staying there, there's a day rate to live here, about $260 a day, or close to $8,000 a month. There is no law in Nevada limiting any rent raises, and the landlord's family says this is what they're asking. This is their right to name the price. The tenant's attorney says he is fighting it.
Our industry was shut down for almost 18 months straight, like no shows at all.
For those who work in live entertainment in Las Vegas, for 2 years, so many workers like Derek could barely make it and barely afford rent. At this home in the West Valley near Hualapai and Desert Inn, rent came out to roughly $1,500 a month. Unemployment through PUA went a long way to pay rent. Last fall, then came the notice many renters dread. How much will rent go up?
Raising the rent from $1,535 to $4,000.
When you saw that, what'd you think?
I laughed. Literally, I laughed out loud. This has got to be a joke. Who does this? How does this happen?
Derek says no neighbors are paying anywhere close to that. A Zillow search has a suggested monthly rate for the home, $2,100 a month. On another rental notice from the landlord, it states the holdover fees, or rate outside the lease, $263 a day. That would send rent soaring to around $8,000 a month for this house. Derek says there's no way he wants to stay here at all.
But I would have moved 6 months ago, but to move right now, it'll cost you to get into a house $6,000, $8,000.
In December, the landlord's relative who manages the property says she sent an eviction notice. Derek applied for CHAP, federal rent assistance, through Clark County. He says CHAP referred him to Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada.
We didn't agree to the $4,000. I would argue the
provision doubling the rent is unconscionable. This was a unilateral decision by the landlord. He couldn't agree to that amount of money, and it would be unreasonable to do so.
What the attorney for legal aid tells me they're looking at is this clause in Derek's lease. It says right here, during a holdover not authorized by the landlord, rent shall increase by 100%. So the attorney's arguing here that if a judge looks at this and agrees to it, wouldn't rent be $3,000, not $4,000? But the property manager and family members says this is an old lease. The property manager declined to answer this one question. How can anyone afford that high of a rent raise? In a very lengthy email, she says, if a tenant doesn't want to pay what is being asked in order to rent a property, they don't have to rent it. No one is obligating anyone to rent a property they cannot afford. Rent is $4,000 a month, and in holdover, it does double at that rate. The landlord's an elderly senior citizen. It's been made clear to the tenant that we need the property back. This is about the health and well-being of an elderly lady going blind who just wants to move back into a house she owns. Chap can pay the increased rent, or $4,000 a month, based on the actual lease terms. It's really a shame Chap is the reason for causing all of these problems when they're supposed to be here helping. Correspondence from Chap to Derek says the program offered the family $3,000 a month. She told them and tells me she won't accept it.
All right, so after watching those videos, so Tasha, she's probably going to go ahead and start this off here.
Well, actually, I was going to let you start, but I can just say, oh my goodness, I feel so bad for these poor people.
Did we tell them to like and subscribe?
No.
Okay, I'll let you do that.
All right, so of course, before we get any further, if you would be so kind, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share all of our social media. And of course, if you don't have social media, share anyway. You know, there's a thing called email, text it to your friends, whatever the case may be. But I really feel so bad for these people who are experiencing this in Las Vegas right now. These residents are feeling like they are going to be, they're getting priced out, basically.
Exactly.
Of living out there. So I was just going to let you, go on, and then I was going to chime in.
Okay, so
I have some numbers, so I was going to kind of counter those with what he was going to talk about.
Right. So when we were living in Vegas, people were telling us, so first, we remember when we first moved out to Vegas for that short period of time, but we remember that the prices to rent homes, apartments were like so dirt cheap. I mean, it was really dirt cheap. But we remember people were telling us literally like Todd and Tasha, prices are going up here in Vegas, and pretty soon the home prices, the prices to rent were going to be high like LA. And we're just like, oh, wow, okay. But they're pretty high in LA, but we don't really, okay, well, I mean, not that we doubted it, but it was just like kind of wild because like prices were just so, it was just so dirt cheap to rent in Vegas. But of course, during the course of years, the prices started going up. Even as of now, the prices really went up. And as you can see, we're going to talk a little bit more why the prices to rent is going up. But so you see, as far as what happened with the guy. So the guy was paying around about $1,495, $1,500 in rent. And so all of a sudden, his prices skyrocketed. His rent just totally went up to around, what did they say, $6,000 some, $6,400, and in some cases higher than that because the breakdown, the increase
was $6,400.
The increase, I'm sorry, was $6,400. So I think that brought a total of what, $7,800.
So basically, if he would have signed a lease, he would have been quote unquote saving a tad bit because it would have been like $4,000 or something like that, which is still ridiculous. But if he did not decide to like sign the lease, then he would have been on a day rate, which is crazy, and that means that his rent would have been about $7,800, something ridiculous, $7,400, which is the $7,800 because that's the $6,400 increase.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's what?
That is absolutely crazy.
And as you can see in the clip. They had no regard for his lease. Talking about it was a quote unquote old lease as far as a thing where it says 100% increase.
Why does they still have an old lease? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. And I'm going to touch on that when I speak about my numbers, those types of things that happen in Vegas as far as, renter protections. But
right, exactly. So yeah, we saw that. That's just absolutely crazy. So they're saying that the homeowner, I guess she's elderly, she's, sick. I totally understand that. She wants her property back. So you could have done something that made it easier, different. So if you wanted to get back in there so bad, you could have did something differently to get him out of there. But the jack is, I don't understand. What is the point of jacking the rent up like that?
To price him out.
And so then the rental assistance there offered what, $3,000.
$3,000, yeah.
And what did the owner say?
No.
She said no.
No, they refused it.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, so again, this honestly speaks to the culture as far as out in Vegas. It really does. Like that, from our experience, let's clarify. From our experience and other people that we have spoken to experience in Vegas when it comes to a myriad of topics, but it just is a culture of kind of like cold-heartedness, you know, and just unprofessional, because really that was unprofessional. It's like, oh, well, she wants to get her property. She's going, you know, we're going to price you out. I understand the situation, but like Todd said, come on, you could have did something different.
Exactly. That's absolutely crazy. I mean, and like we're running from LA and we already know that the price, it's no surprise that the prices are through the roof here and they're steadily going up, as well as all over the country. But so even in Vegas where you think it's really cheap, and it's still, you know, in some cases still cheaper there than it is here, but it's still climbing to be high like out here, which is really ridiculous. And on top of that, you know, a lot of people are moving out there and they're building up. But then so the other thing that's really messing renters up is like the high fees to even rent, to even, the high application fees. They have like even high administration fees as high as $250 in some cases. And then application fees, $75, $85, $95 per tenant, per person. So if you have 5 people in the household
that are over the age
of 18, like, my goodness, that's crazy. Like, we have 6 in our household. So, but I can't imagine paying like $75, $85 per application fee. And then again, that's $250 admin fee. Then you have other fees where, you know, of course they charge you, like, I mean, they supposed to anyway, but they charge you to pull your credit and then pull your renter's report and all sorts of stuff. But then at the same time, for whatever reason, Vegas, their fees are way higher, are much higher, pulling your reports and everything else, your background checks they're charging, their arm leg for everything. It's greed. It's pure greed.
Yeah, cleaning fees. I mean, we had a ridiculous cleaning fee on ours. I remember that when we moved in. I was like, what is this? But okay. So, I'm not sure if you had anything else to contribute.
Yeah, and I was going to talk about, this might go on what you're going to talk about next, but I want to just basically talk about just reasons why the prices of the rent are like, you know, skyrocketing.
Oh, okay, cool. So, you know, again, now, although we have covered a very, you know, ridiculous, like extreme, I should say, case when it came to the, you know, the gentleman as far as the $6,400. But here's the thing. Everybody, or I should say, there are multiple people in Vegas who are experiencing these rent increases. There's no cap as far as the rent increase. I mean, as we can see, come on, that was like ridiculous what he experienced, and he's not alone. So the rent increase, I should say, all over the Las Vegas Valley is pretty significant as well. According to apartment, what is this? Oh, I couldn't read my own writing. Sorry, guys. According to apartmentlist.com, rents all over the Las Vegas Valley went up over 26% since last year around this time. So 26% increase since last year. So, you know, here's a breakdown by size, apartment size. So, for instance, a studio apartment on average is now $1,162. A 1-bedroom apartment is now $1,610. A 2-bedroom apartment on average, I should say, is now $1,864. And a 3-bedroom apartment on average is now $23.56, and we can definitely attest to that being way higher even than when we were there.
Yeah.
And that was only a few like short years ago. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Now, this is still, of course, like Todd mentioned, this is still cheaper than LA in some cases, but not by much. Like it used to be
Right.
a huge thing. Like, oh shoot, forget this. I'm leaving. Going to Vegas. I could save me some money. You're not going to be saving that much anymore. I mean, from what we are seeing. And again, this is so that you are informed, to have information. This is not bashing, because we can actually compare this to other states too, or
Right.
cities too. That would probably be kind of cool,
Yeah.
because people are always talking about that as far as LA. They're just like, oh my gosh, the rent. And we, just want to bring that to our viewers as far as like, hey, well, is it really worth it? Okay, so now also too, keep in mind that the averages that I mentioned are for apartments. Those are for apartments. That's not really necessarily including single family home rent.
Right.
Okay, so that's another thing too to keep in mind. And then I'll let you chime in, because it's really gonna, seal the deal here. So let's talk about renter protection. Now, keep in mind too, when you're going to another state, every state is different as far as renter, law. So I think that's something that we definitely did not know
Right.
fully. Like, we did not know. But so that's a crucial thing. And hands down, LA County definitely provides more favorable renter protections than Vegas.
Exactly.
As an example, say for instance you get into something, a situation with your landlord, and you're just like, normally you'll hold your rent, you put it in escrow or whatever the case may be. Well, if they decide to still put you in for an eviction, you're going to get locked out.
Yeah.
Unless you're granted a stay. So you're going to get locked out until the court date and it's all settled. Otherwise, unless you get a stay, you're going to be out.
Yeah, the rental protection is terrible there.
Your property, all your stuff is going to be in that apartment until everything is settled. And the crazy thing too is that people I spoke to this one lady. She just experienced this, where she basically was going through eviction, and she was having problems because she was like, what, I washed my hands of it. I'm not going to fight with them. Just forget it. And she wanted to get her property back. She was having a problem getting her property from the apartments. So it's like, after the sheriff locked them out, she was having issues getting her property, and she's not alone. Other people have said the same thing. So again, just be aware.
Exactly. That's terrible. Like she was saying, that the rental protections in Vegas is absolutely terrible. They don't give a crap about
They
you.
don't.
I mean, so you have a certain period, whatever, if you're behind on your rent, they don't care. Like, you don't even have a chance to even go to court. They'll put you out.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
can put you out before you even go to court.
Yeah.
Like she was just, kind of explaining too.
Yeah.
And so I just want to talk about, so we just want to know, people want to know, why is the rental prices going up, not just in Vegas and LA, but all over the country? Why is the rental prices going up? So it all really stems from home. So what's going on? So let's talk about the mortgages. So a 30-year fixed mortgage rate now is at its highest since the year 2018, which is at 4.67%. So it's up from 4.42%. So now that's driving the cost of owning a home, especially, is even harder for first-time home buyers. So it's really hard for them. So they're like, well, it's too expensive for me to even afford a house, so I might as well continue to rent. So you have more people, they're renting. They continue to rent. So because you have more and more people renting now, opposed to even buying a home, because the home prices are so high, the mortgage rates are just steadily shooting through the roof, then it is driving the prices to rent up through the roof as well too. So these landlords, these homeowners that's renting out homes, they're jacking these prices up for the rent, especially even in Vegas. And to see in Vegas, they're really greedy. And I'm not saying that's just Vegas, but in Vegas, they're really greedy. They can, you can rent a house, and your rent can be like $1,500 or $2,000. So then you're there a year, and then come to find out, they're going to raise your rent double that. And unfortunately, they can do that.
Yeah, and there even people, YouTubers have experienced this as well. Like, it's not just, it's everybody. It's ridiculous. So this is just something that I feel we definitely wanted to bring to, you guys, so that you're aware, because again, we're all about, count your coins and all that type of stuff, and, just making decisions that fits you best for your family, best for yourself. And so therefore, I want to make sure that you have all the information when it comes to making that move.
Right.
If you want to make it to Vegas or whatever the case, for whatever reason, maybe you have a job offer, actually. This information is helpful to you just so you have those protections, or that information, I say, and try to protect yourself as much as possible. Maybe make sure the lease or, whatever is, pretty up to par.
Right. But the other thing I want to just get at real quick is the fact that it's even harder to, like I just mentioned, as far as the mortgage rates are like really, really high, and it's just like really hard now, again, for people to even purchase a home now. Mm-hmm. So, and what is even making it even that much harder is that there's a lot of competition. Now, not just necessarily for purchasing a home, because we're really talking about renting. So you have all these people that are renting, trying to rent houses, whatever, single family homes. But the issue is that so you can have like, 700 credit score, 720 credit score. You can even have an 800 credit score. So let's say that you have this one house, and most of the time you have one house and you have several applicants. They're applying for this one house, and 5 of them can have like a 780 credit score. And you can be one of those people that have a 780 credit score. You can have a 760. But that one person can have an 800 credit score. Good job, you can have a good job. But then they'll pick that one that has the 800 credit score, over the one that's maybe 780 or 795. So the competition is tough. So you have to remember that when you apply for, to rent a single family spot, that it's not, it's not easy. The fact that you have other people, you're going to have other people competing for that one property,
place.
that one place. So again, you think that, okay, my credit score is really good, and your credit score may be really good. Again, 780, 740, 760, whatever is good. But you have a whole other people with the same credit score, and somebody may have a credit score. Your credit score may be 790, and the next person credit score may be like 792. They'll go with that person, that has a higher credit score. So the competition for renting a place is really, really crazy. So just know that if you are planning to move out to Las Vegas, Nevada, and you are thinking about renting a single family home.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I hope that you guys got a lot of information out of this video. I feel it was very informative.
Yes.
My opinion maybe not matter, but just kidding. No, but I hopefully that you guys, did get some information that you needed from this video. And again, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and share all over social media. If you don't have social media, share anyway. Let us know in the comment section. Are you thinking about moving to Vegas? Have you moved to Vegas, been there? Or, have you moved back? What's your deal? What's going on with you?
All I know is I'm glad to be back in LA. So
so am I.
What a crazy experience in Vegas. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. And thanks for the well wishes as far as my surgery. Surgery is over. I am getting better. So thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you guys in the next video.
Bye.